Welcome to Pivot Parenting, where we help parents of teens overcome regret and disappointment to find peace and connection in every situation. I'm Heather Frazier, your parenting expert. Journey with me to discover effective parenting tips, improve family relationships, and build a brighter future for your kids. Buckle up, things are about to get better. Hello, my friends. Welcome to today's episode. It is going to be short and sweet and so helpful. And I just am excited. It is a glorious fall day, and I am getting ready to go to Nashville today. As I sit and record, I need to go finish packing. But I am so excited. I am presenting a keynote that aligns with the second book I have mentioned a few times that I wrote last year that is going to be published next year. And the keynote title is Why Our Children Are Making a Mass Exodus from Organized Religion. For myself and many of my clients, our children leaving our faith has been a huge pain point. And so I really dive into this, why this is happening, how we can best love and help our children and connect with them. And I am just so excited. I've never been to Nashville. This is going to be kind of like a TEDx type forum. I would like to eventually give this keynote as a TEDx. So if you have any ins to get me into a TEDx, that would be fantastic. But I will be applying for that for next year. Because I think is a really important topic that goes highly unaddressed. And I just am so excited. And a lot of the content of my talk and of my second book and of today's episode all stems from listening well. The skill of listening that I'm going to teach you will benefit every relationship, and especially that with yourself. And for me, relationships are the pinnacle highlight of life experience. To travel, to have money, to eat good food, those are all great things, but they are even better when you are with the people that you absolutely love and connect with. Having relationships that are healthy and strong, for me, is literally the best part of life. I just got back from a girls' trip down in Zion, and I was laying in bed with my husband. The lights were out, and we were chatting, and I had just gotten home that evening. And it was so pointed and obvious that my favorite place in the world is next to him. And that could be anywhere because of our relationship. And so as I teach today's concept, I hope that you apply it and that it helps your relationships improve. And this lesson of listening to your teen, I had to learn personally. And I've hinted at this in other episodes, but I really was a terrible listener to all of my kids. But my son was the one who put up with it the least. And he taught me, as only teenagers can, how to listen better if I wanted to connect with him, because he wouldn't put up with any shenanigans. And I have fine-tuned this process over the years. That was years ago when he was, 14, 15, 16, and now he's 20. Going to be 21 soon, which is crazy to me. But I fine-tuned it over years with my kids and clients and coaching and friendship and relationship. This is one of those things where once you can see it, you just practice it all the time. And so I'm really excited to share it with you today. There are two types of listening, my friends: to respond and to understand. When we are listening to respond, which, by the way, is everyone's default, this is what we have to evolve out of. Your intentions can be good, helpful, or harmful. I'm just going to assume that everybody here wants to do right by their kids. So you could be really trying to help them. But when you're listening to respond, you are typically, again, there's exceptions to every rule, you are typically going to be less helpful. Your perspective, how you see the world, is good. And that's usually where we respond. Well, when I was a teenager, or you should do this, I've done this in relationships and this works. Let's say your teenager is complaining about their friends. Their friends aren't being kind to them, and you're listening and you're taking on your perspective and you're trying to listen to them for how you can help them. How do I respond? Now, our brain, and I'm sure, hopefully I can articulate this well enough that you'll recognize that you do this, because all of us do this. Our brain can think way faster than our mouth can speak. And so as somebody's talking, or even as we are talking, our brain is going in multiple different directions. And it's thinking this and it's thinking that. And if they would just do this, but we can only say one thing at a time. And we can only hear one thing at a time. So either we're listening to our brain or we're allowing our thoughts to brush past us and just continuing listening to their voice. But to evolve, listening with our perspective is to imagine their perspective. And we can respond or understand them better if we do this. An example could be you're talking with your spouse or partner and you're talking about your struggling child. And they're listening to your take. But they're like, that doesn't make sense. Why would they do that? Or da 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 da. And that's a great example of being on the receiving end of how somebody listens with their perspective and they're not putting themselves in other people's shoes. Well, why didn't you just tell Joey no, that he couldn't take the car and that he had been late? And why didn't you do this? And why didn't you do that? That's listening to respond. And that's also listening with your own personal lens. Another example of this could be when you're talking to your teen and they're, again, talking about friendships and how hard it is. And you're imagining your friendships and your struggles and strategies and how you developed friendships in healthy ways. So then you're responding, well, you should try this or you should do that, versus just listening to their struggles and letting it be their situation, not like yours, because it's not. When we are listening to respond, it's invalidating at worst, maybe sympathetic at best. But it really is the lazy way to listen. It's our default way to listen. And it's not as connecting as the number 2, which is listening to understand. When we listen to understand, we don't know how it will go, where the conversation will go. We're making peace and being comfortable with their sadness or with their emotion, their anger, their frustration, and being okay with all of that, because that is part of the human experience. Our kids are supposed to experience all of the emotions, and so are we. It's more of a witnessing, like, I see you in your pain, I see you in your struggle, than anything else. This is more empathetic, which is the best way to help someone who is hurting. Now, when we're trying to do either of these forms of listening, our ego is going to want to trip us because it wants to be heard more than learn. It doesn't think there's more that you need to know. You don't need to understand their feelings or their perspective better. You need to tell them how to get out of the situation, how to cure the pain. Our brains, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, our brains really don't like the discomfort of other people's strong emotions. Even if it's happiness. Have you ever seen people tear somebody down that's happy? Well, it's not that big of a deal. Geez. Burst their bubble. because it's uncomfortable. When they're sad, people try to talk people out of being sad. Well, it could be worse. This guy has this and this and this going on, and you don't even have it that bad. Or cheer up. It's not that big of a deal. It's only short term. You're being dramatic. We try to talk people out of their strong emotions around us. And that is our nervous system. That's fear. This especially plays out. We can feel frantic and harried, like we're running from fire to fire, trying to help our kid. This provides a need to speak because of urgency to save or to help. But we can't listen if we're talking. And our kids, they'll learn more from hearing their own thoughts when you ask them valuable questions over hearing you talk at them. I promise. Let me say that again in a slightly different way. If you ask your kids valuable questions and you're validating and listening and sitting in their discomfort of emotion without being upset by it, so that you can truly hear and witness their story, that is often the most valuable way for them to learn about themselves. Because when we're caught up in so much emotion, we don't take time to reflect. We don't take time to consider. And when you can ask questions and not like leading judgy questions like, well, why do you have a friend like that if that's how they treat you? Not that type of question. Something more along the lines of, what value does this friendship bring you? How does this person make you happy? How do they make you sad? What is most important to you in your relationships? How do you see this working out in the future? Those are more thought-inducing questions. And as your child considers them, even if they don't answer them out loud to you, simply posing the question that really is unbiased and considering of the situation, they will get more out of that 9 times out of 10 than you talking to them about your experience and your thoughts and your opinions.
Hi there. I just want to pause and let you know if you are struggling to make sense of your teen's behaviors, emotions are running wild, and you're looking to turn things around to have the family you dreamed of while rocking them to sleep, I would love to talk to you. I want to give you a special, powerful gift. 30 minutes with me, my friend. You'll walk away with more confidence, clarity, and understanding of what the issue is and your next best step in resolving any situation you bring to me. It's completely free. I love families and want to help yours be wildly happy and successful. Book this call by visiting my website, heatherfraser.com. Remember, Fraser is spelled with a Z-I in the middle. And don't worry, the link is also in the show notes. I look forward to meeting and helping you.
All right, let's look at the practical do's and don'ts for how to properly listen. This is not an all-inclusive list, and these basic guidelines do not always apply to every situation. I am a firm advocate that rules don't ever apply 100% of the time. And that rule might not even apply 100% of the time. And that's okay. Take what intuitively feels helpful to you. You don't have to follow it all. But you might agree with some of these. Okay, put away your phone. If your kid wants to talk to you, put away your phone. Stop doing your work. Turn the TV off. Turn the music down. Look them in the eyeballs and listen. This might be really hard to do because we're all addicted to our phones, me included. I have to really say, no, I'm going to put my phone down. Our little kids will fight us for attention. They'll climb all over us and scream until they get what they want. Our teenagers won't. They'll just walk away. And they won't try to connect with you again because they feel shot down and rejected. So, how you would like to be listened to, what you find respectful, Say you're on a date or something, and the person you're talking to is just kind of nodding at you while you talk to them because they're scrolling or responding to a text or whatever. That's rude. Don't do those things to your kids. They won't put up with it. You want to ask open-ended questions so they don't end in yes or no answers. And you want to avoid the word why. For whatever reason, we all have a history with the word why. Why did you do that? Why would you think that? Why would you put that there? Why wouldn't you do this? It's kind of triggering, low-key triggering. So avoid the word why. Don't begin to lecture, explain, or fix unless they have asked you for your opinion, which happens every once in a blue moon. And when they do, make it like 1 to 2 sentences long, concise and loving. That's it. If they want more explanation, they will continue to ask questions about it. I know it's really tempting, but again, like I said in the beginning, this is our desire to fix. This is fear. This is ego. This is our nervous system kicking in. We have to learn to recognize and set that aside because it's not about our emotions rising in our throat. It is about our child. So again, you can even ask, do you want me just to listen or do you want to work on a solution together? Is this a fix or a listen? It's a really great question when starting an emotional conversation. But unless they ask for your opinion, keep it to yourself. We want to validate that their feelings are valid without reason or explanation or justification. One of my favorite words is, that's fair or fair enough. That doesn't mean that I agree with them. Doesn't mean that I think it's a good idea. It just means that they are human and they're having a thought or a feeling, and that is reasonable to expect. Be comfortable with silence. Let them fill the void. It is a natural human tendency to not like silence. And so, if you can be the more patient one and let it be silent, they oftentimes will be pressured to fill that silence. Now, this next one is what I did to my son all the time, and he really called me out on it and took me to task, and I'm forever grateful. I would finish his sentences, cut him off, and talk over him because I was so uncomfortable with the situation that I just wanted it to be resolved as quickly as possible. And so that's what I would do. But it did the opposite. It disconnected me from my child. It made me stupid to the situation because he wouldn't share when I did that. So I didn't really understand his perspective. And he didn't appreciate or like it. So me trying to help backfired in every way possible. Don't finish their sentences, cut them off, or talk over them. Nobody likes being on the receiving end of that, but we all feel the urgency to do it. You have to fight the urgency to do that. We also want to meet them where they're at. Maybe that's just saying 2 words, crap day, or they did it again, or I'm doing pretty good, or a nod, or a grunt. With kids who are really uncomfortable with vulnerability and communication, I have found that passing notes is a really great way to have delicate conversations in a way that is most comfortable for them. And that can evolve into face-to-face conversations. Also, driving in the car when you can't look each other in the eye because somebody is driving, or when it's dark, like you're in a dark room together, and so you can't see each other's face. Sometimes that makes it easier when it's really vulnerable. You can also use social media like Snapchat, hand signals, smoke signals. However they're willing to communicate with you, consider that a win and be willing to listen. Meet them where they're at. Doesn't mean you'll be there forever, but start with where they are comfortable and build trust and safety in that space. And I promise it will expand. And then the main thing is to listen, and when you speak, first and always with love. Love for them, love for everyone in the situation, love. This means that your ideas and hopes of how the conversation will go or how their decision-making process will go isn't really a relevant thing. You're just open to your teen, just being them. You love them so much. You're so grateful that they are communicating with you in whatever way they are, and that you just love them as is. They don't need to change at all. And when we reverse engineer this and look at it from the other perspective, have you ever been listened to like this? Where they just love you and support you, and they don't have a dog in the race, and they're not going to tell you what to do, and they just want to understand your perspective and support you. It is so nurturing. And so this is what we want to provide for our kids. Not because then they'll tell us all the things and we'll get what we want, but because this is simply what good parents do, with potential no reward on the other end, other than knowing that we did a great job. And so, my friends, when we listen well, we're validating our kids. And this has so many benefits in the moment and long term. In the moment, they're going to feel less alone, more supported. Long term, they're building trust with you. You'll be more in the know to help mentor them should they want it. You are teaching them how to be a quality listener for relationships in their lives. And you're teaching them through example what a good, healthy relationship looks like in the communication department, which any emotional and relationship skills we can teach our kids, they really do act as an immunization against harmful relationships. Not saying it will prevent all of those, but like an immunization, it can make the duration shorter and less painful. It can protect them from many of them from ever happening. Because when our kids feel at home, healthy emotional relationship skills happening all around them, and then they fall into a romantic relationship or a friendship relationship, and it doesn't have that quality, they may not be able to articulate it, but it's not going to sit as well, at least not long term. And that is the most beautiful gift that we can give our kids. So, my friend, if you want help doing this in person, please reach out and book a free Peaceful Parenting call with me. It's in the show notes for this. You can also head over to my website, and I would love to be able to support you. I have 3 different ways which you can work with me. So basically, any budget and any schedule is accommodated. I just want to help as many parents as possible because I love families and I want families to be successful. I want your family to be successful. So take and apply all that you've learned. Feel free to share this episode if you think it's valuable with people who would appreciate it. And we will talk to you next week.
Heather is the one, an expert in the field. She knows her parenting stuff, including how confusing it can be. You've tried it all, and it's a lost cause. Crying in the closet 'cause you failed at being a mom. But think again, there's peace around the corner and there's hope in your hands. Your kid just wants your love and you want it